All right. Wherever you are, whether it's good morning or good afternoon, what time is it there, Jeff? Where you are?
It's 2:30 here in Halifax.
1:30. That makes sense. You're on that side of the. I'm Ontario, so 2:30. Sometimes I have people from Alberta. I'm with Vancouver, and I'm like, oh, it's still morning for you. Say like, good afternoon,
All
good
right.
morning. So we'll
Looks
give.
like we are live here. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's get started.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you everybody for coming today. We are here today to learn how to code a game in Scratch. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jeff Henniger. I'm a grade 5 teacher and a logics facilitator here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And I'm joined by...
I'm Justine Temenis. I am a resource teacher here in Brampton, Ontario, with Peel, and also a logics facilitator. I'm excited to join you. This is our first time together, Jeff. So
Yeah, it
excited to
is. I'm excited
learn.
to work with you, Justine.
Yeah.
Well, before we get started today, I'll just take a moment to acknowledge that I'm presenting today from Mi'kma'ki, which is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. The treaties of peace and friendship cover this territory. We are all treaty people. And if you've never been to native-land.ca before, it's a fantastic resource for learning about different Aboriginal communities all over North America, so definitely worth checking out.
A big thank you to Hackergal. That is what we are looking at today. They have helped fund and support not only this workshop, but a few workshops that Logix has been doing. So we appreciate them giving you this student workshop to enjoy and hopefully go through, whether you're live or whether you decide to kind of pause and play throughout. Thank you so much, Hackergal. And now the one thing with this format is we can see, you can see hear us and see us, but we can't hear or see you. So it's kind of this weird thing. However, if you go to a new tab and enter bit.ly/logics hackergal form, and again, it's hackergal, Gal, not girl. Sometimes that can get confusing. We'll leave that on for a couple seconds. And depending on how your classroom is run, maybe the teacher has it up, maybe you have your own tab. I know sometimes when we do this, every student has their own Chromebook. Sometimes we're sharing, sometimes the teacher is going to facilitate those questions. However, you want it, have that available so you can kind of share with us. So let's start with our first practice question. And a really simple one we have here. Which province or state are you joining from today? And so, like I said, I am coming from Ontario, which is a nice big state. It's cold here and it is snowing and it's deceivingly sunny. And Jeff, you're coming from, I've never been to Nova Scotia, but I
No, it's been very cold here, but today's actually very mild. We were up around 10 degrees and it's just kind of cloudy. All our snow melted, so...
maybe it's come to us because we're wind chill minus 16 today.
Oh my goodness. Oh, we have not been that cold yet.
While I'm looking at our chat, we have a few people. We have Sarah says she's coming from BC. Oh, never been there either. And then I see Tiffany coming from Alberta. And again, keep bringing those in because we want to just know where you are. Just want to travel now to BC and Alberta.
Little tour of the country.
Yes.
All right, thanks so much, Justine. So to let you know what we're getting into today, we're gonna start by looking at Scratch a little bit, and just to help you get started to make sure we're all at the same spots and on the right page, and what the different things on the page mean. We're gonna talk about some different coding language that we're gonna need to understand today to be able to do the workshop. So we'll talk about sprites, backdrop, and the word broadcast when we're coding. And then we're gonna walk through some steps to code a video game today. So that's our schedule of events. So if you have not been on Scratch before, I'll show you how you can get into a fresh project today without having to create an account. If your teacher has already generated accounts for you, that's perfect. That means your game will save and you'll be able to edit it or make changes to it later. Without an account, that's totally fine to just get on there and write some code today and to have some fun learning something new, but your project won't be saved. So just that's something to have a heads up with today with Scratch. For the teachers joining us, it is really easy for you to get a teacher account so that you can be the admin on your students' Scratch accounts in a school setting. So if you start by visiting the website scratch.mit.edu, or you could just go to your favorite search engine and just type the word Scratch, and it's most likely to be the first one that comes up. So you're going to the Scratch website. And like I say, if you haven't taken the time to already join or sign in, that's not a big deal for today. But for us, we're just going to click on that button that says Create. So if you're following along on your Chromebook, you can just push Create. Like Justine said, it's really convenient that we're putting this out on YouTube, because if I'm ever going too fast or if you need to hear something again, it's really easy for you to pause even though you're watching live. All right, so when you hit that button, it should pop you into a page that looks kind of like this. I've got a few things added into mine. You probably also got a green box at the bottom. That's just a tutorial window. That's Scratch there to teach you a few things, but I'm going to be your tutorial today, so you can just hit that X and close off that green tutorial box if you have one in your bottom left corner. So on our little tour of the Scratch layout, if you've done any coding, it should feel pretty normal. Like a lot of them have a similar layout. Over here on the far left, we have these drawers, and each color represents different colors of blocks, and things are nicely organized so that you can find what you want a little bit faster. If you want your character to move, it's in the motion drawer. If you want to change about how something looks on your screen, there's a drawer for that too. Or if you know you're going to code a new event or something's going to happen where you want the user to interact with your game, like they click on something and something else happens, that's in your event drawer. So everything is there for you to explore and to try some new things today. Over from that, we have where that drawer opens, and we can see all the blocks that we have to work with. So each one of those code is a code, and you can get things working in Scratch with just like 2 blocks. Like, it doesn't take a whole lot to get things moving. This is the area right in the middle where you're going to drag those blocks out, and this is where you get to write your code. And if you're not familiar with coding, one thing to think about is the way that I read from like left to right and top to bottom is the same way that my computer understands that message. So by whatever you have at the top, it's going to read those blocks in order. So the order of our blocks is really important. So here I just have this code that says, when I receive a message, say, I'm running for home, and it shows it on my little screen over here. Because over here on the right is where we get to see our code come to life. So whatever I have created with code, I can test it, I can play with it, I can manipulate it all over here on this little coding simulator on the far side. And I'm going to talk about more of these in just a moment, but I just wanted to point out where it keeps your information about different sprites and also the backdrops. And lastly, just to point out as well, so we are on the coding tab here at the top, but there's also specific tabs for when you want to do some art and also when you want to work with sounds. So that's just kind of a quick little overview of where to find things on the Scratch layout. All right, so I mentioned the word sprite. In Scratch, when you are coding, a sprite is any character or any object that you want to add code to. So this bat is a sprite, but so is the basketball. So it's not just a word that describes like things that are alive or the main character. It's any object is called a sprite in Scratch. Backdrop sounds a lot like the word background, and that's exactly what it is in Scratch. So when they say the backdrop, that's kind of like the screen behind me. It's like what is the image that's going to be behind your game. They refer to as a backdrop. So our big coding focus today, we are going to learn and use and play around with broadcast blocks. So there are several of them that you'll get to use today, and they work in just slightly different ways. If we go back to those color-coded drawers on the side, they're in the event drawer, so they're yellow coded to be events. So I thought we would just look at a few examples of how broadcast blocks play out and how they work in different coding situations. So broadcast blocks are like messages that are sent and received between two sprites. So in my image here, let's just imagine that each of these characters is a sprite and a piece of code. So this character on the left, she has her own set of code, and the character on the right has her own set. So on the left, her code says that when this sprite is clicked, broadcast the message, hi. So I could simulate clicking on this character, and then the character on the other side has her code for when, if she receives the code of the message, hi, she's going to say, great to see you. So I've got one that is coded to send a message, and I've got another sprite that's coded on what to do if they receive that message. So it's like just like they're doing in the pictures. It's literally like using a walkie-talkie. They are sending messages between different parts of code. Here's another example. So here I got this bear in this daytime scene, and it says, when this sprite is clicked, broadcast the message, good night. And when he gets clicked, the backdrop received a message that for good night. So that means that the backdrop switched. So we went from the daytime scene, then we clicked on the bear, and it changed his backdrop to be nighttime. Another example of that code is maybe I could say that when that sprite is clicked, I want him to hide. I want that's what the message is. I want the bear to disappear. So that's another example of how you could create a message through that broadcast that makes different things happen in the game. It could be related to sound, how things look, whether they're completely hidden or visible, or maybe they're showing up for the first time. You got lots of options on how you can bring in broadcast message blocks into your code. All right, so if you still have your bit.ly link up, we invite you to click send a new form in and think about, in a code or in a video game, other than just backdrops, what else could you code that would change when a message is sent or received in a video game that you're making, like we're going to do today? So maybe if Justine gets any messages, she can relay those to us as we go. But just something to think about to get you started.
And I love that idea of understanding kind of like that cause and effect situation, right? When this happens, then this is
Yeah,
going to happen.
absolutely.
I have
All right,
here
and
Nicole is saying dialogue. So I guess messages between,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
guess
Like
kind of what
making
you
one character
explained
say
there,
something else. Yeah, great one.
and then responding right away. And I think that's a fun way to show it, right? Being able to, instead of having to do different blocks, it automatically transfers through.
Very cool. Thank you. Yeah, share any more if they roll in. Thanks, everybody. All right, so we are going to jump over now. I'm going to switch from my slides over to the Scratch website. And I'll start by showing you what our end result is going to look like. I'll show you my model game. We're going to be using a couple different things built into Scratch today. Let me just jump over. All right, so here I am on my Scratch game, and I'm going to show you how to do this, but I've actually got, you'll see that my camera, is that working, Justine? You can see okay? My camera's working?
Yes, I can see you.
Perfect. All right. I wasn't sure between the two tabs if it would get angry at me. So how this game works, I have created a game. I've called it Cheese Smasher, and this is where my page gets launched. So when I start my game, this is what the player will see. I have it coded so that when I click on this sprite, it's going to hide it, and then it's going to make my game start. So when I click start, now I've generated, it's already going, I've got the score, I'll point this way, I've got the score and the time coming up in that top corner, and my game is coded that I've got 30 seconds to touch that bowl of cheesies as many times as I can to get my score up as high as I can get it in the set amount of time.
Love
So
it.
this is what we're going to build for our game today. So hopefully you'll have some fun with this. I'm almost out of time. What am I at? My score is
Yeah, I did all the
21.
cheese.
Couple more hits. All right, there we go. And then I've coded it that when the timer gets to 0, the message is received that this screen should pop up, giving the person the instruction that they can click the green flag button to play again. So that's the game I'm aiming for. We'll see how time goes. I'm hoping we get through all of it. I'll save the making the timer for last because that we'll just make sure that that's going to work out. All right, so for us today, that is the goal. I'm going to jump tabs again to a clean Scratch page, so mine looks just like yours. Okay, so for those following at home or in your classrooms, this should be what you see. We've got this blank slate of a Scratch project to start with. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to choose that object for the game. So if you can follow my mouse pointer, over here on the right, I'm going to go down where it shows my different sprites that I have, and it automatically puts sprite number 1, which is Scratch Cat. I'm not going to use Scratch Cat for this game, so I'm going to push that garbage can button so that he gets removed from my game. It says, "Are you sure you want to delete?" And I will say yes. So now I have nothing at all to work with. In the bottom right corner, I can see there's a purple button with a picture of a cat and a plus sign. And when I hover my mouse over there, it turns green and it says choose a sprite. And that's exactly where I want to click, right on that purple cat for choosing a sprite. You can choose any object you like. I would suggest choosing something that's kind of like a ball or a balloon. Or if you're like me, you might choose the cheesy puffs that are down just a little bit so that it matches the theme of my game. So you can picture that now. So whatever object you pick is what's going to be randomly moving around the screen for the person to try and touch. So any of those objects will be great. Some of them, make more sense than others depending on what you're trying to do. So I'm going to stick with my cheese puffs.
I chose a balloon.
Nice pick. All right, I'll give our participants just a moment to choose theirs. And if you wanted to, you don't have to, because we're using the camera, we don't really need a backdrop. But over here in that far right corner, there is a spot for you to customize the background. Also, for our people following along, I'm not going to spend a lot of time giving people time to make things over the top awesome. I'm hoping you'll take today as an opportunity just to learn some of these new things, and then you can spend some time later really digging in and making them just how you want it. So try and keep up today so you can just learn the basics of how this works.
Let's get it functioning, and then you guys
Exactly.
can go back and try to make it a bit more specific to your wants and desires.
Yeah. All right, so I've got that cheese puff bowl in there now. I can move this around, to position it where I want it to be at the beginning. But now I'm ready to, I'm going to design that entry page. Let me just go back to it to remind you what it looked like. If I jump back to this tab. So I wanted it to have the title of my game at the top and then a nice big start button that they're going to click on to make the game start. All right, so I'm back over at my project. To create that scene, first thing I need to do is over in that same spot where I chose the sprite, if I just hover over it, there's a paintbrush. If you go up to that paintbrush icon and you click on that, it's going to jump you in so that you are designing a brand new sprite. So I can see now that I've added a sprite to my list over on the right, and I've got this blank canvas for me to do some drawing. If you've done anything with maybe Google Drawing or another tool like that, or Paint on a Windows computer, these tools should feel pretty familiar. I'm going to start off by giving my costume a name. And just to keep it simple, I'm going to call mine Start, since it's going to be the big Start button. And you can use the text feature there and just drop in a text box. Sticking with my Cheese Smasher title. I'm going to choose a font that I like. I pick that pixel style. And you can use those corner pieces to stretch it out as big as you like. You're also welcome to change the color to anything you like. So we'll just take a few minutes to set up a game title. And like I said, you can just throw something in there and come back and edit that later. It's really easy just to come back into the Costumes tab and make changes. And for my big Start button, I'm going to use the Drawing a Rectangle tool. And I'll just stretch that out. And then I can put my text on top. I'm going to put a new text box to put the word start. I'm going to have to make the text a lot darker so it shows up. Again, using those corner circles, I can drag that out so that it fills the space just how I like it. Try and get things centered a little bit. And I like how in Scratch I can see it coming together on the screen right in front of me to make sure things are going to all be visible or that it's centered enough that it's going to look good for me.
And then for those people who, have an artistic kind of finger, I don't. But if you do, if you don't like some of those sprites, if we weren't making this, if you wanted to create your own sprite, maybe one that's in your likeness, this is where you kind of get to do it.
Love that. Yeah, the costumes tab has lots of different things you could do. Like Justine saying, I could take my cheesy puff bowl even and I could customize it. I could add text to the bowl or maybe give it some eyes. I can do whatever I want with that. Okay, so I'm gonna call mine finished. I've got just a bit of text on there. It's enough that I can keep moving here. So up here in the top left, I'm currently on the costumes tab, but I'm gonna switch back to code. So one thing that can be kind of confusing and they kind of have to get used to is that over here in the sprites drawer, each sprite gets their own code. So if I'm selecting that start sprite, I might have some blocks on the screen, but if I click over onto my Cheesy Puff sprite, it might have different code. So that comes down to that broadcasting. I can send messages between those two sets of code. So that's one thing that I'll try my best to keep you on track with, but making sure that we have selected the correct sprite before we start writing our code so that it's all in the place that we're hoping it's going to be. Okay, so I want my cheese smasher to be there at the start. So I'm going to start by going to the yellow events drawer, and I'm going to do when the green flag is clicked. That's going to be the block that starts the game. So for the player, they'll hit the green flag, and then it's like hitting the reset button. It's going to be back to here. So when the green flag is clicked, I want my starting sprite, my title, to be on the screen. So I'm going to say when green flag is clicked, and then in the looks drawer, I want the one that says show. So again, I'm making sure I have selected my sprite for the start button, and I'm saying that when the green flag is clicked, it should be on the screen. Next up, I want it to be so that when the person is playing the game, if they click that start button, I want the start button to go away, and then I want the cheese bowl to appear. So we're going to get into our messages here in a moment. So I need a new event. I need the event for when this sprite is clicked. And when it's clicked, I want two things to happen. I want it to send the message that the game is starting. And then I also want it to hide. I want the picture to go away. So if you can keep them straight, you're welcome to leave that text as message 1. For me, I like to make sure I'm keeping my code organized so that I know what everything means. So if you click on that down arrow, you can create a new message to give it a name, and I'm going to title mine so I remember that it has to do with the start button. I'm going to call that message start.
And also, again, for those who are watching, notice how Jeff went, and again, he was talking about that chronological order when we read from top to bottom. For that, when the sprite clicks one, he has two, and it has to be in that order, right? We can't, it has to be broadcast and then hide. We can't put the hide in,
Yeah.
or else we're going to hide and then not know what's going on.
Yeah, sometimes that does happen as coding, and we talk about in coding debugging our code. Sometimes you're like, this should work. Why isn't it working? And that process of figuring out what's wrong with your code, we call debugging. So that's something that coders do constantly. So when you're making a game, if something feels like it should be right, sometimes just playing with the order of blocks, like Justine is saying, is a great way to figure out what's going on with your code. All right, so I've got this now. When I hit the green flag, my start screen is up, and when I click on it, it's going to broadcast a message, and then it's going to go away. So right now I can test that. I can hit the start button, and it's gone. So now my next step is to switch over. I need to write some code for my bowl of cheesies. So like we've been saying, I need to make sure in that bottom right corner that I've selected the Cheesy Puffs. And remember, I haven't written any code for that bowl yet, so I expect there to be no code. So when I click on it, it looks like my code is gone, but it's just over there with the other sprite. It still has its own independent code. All right, so I've got that blank screen now for the cheesies. So if I'm picturing how I want this to play out, I'll go back to my other example for a second here. When they see the title screen, I don't want the cheese bowl to be there. I want it to be hidden from the beginning. So that means that on my code, I need to write that code. So when the green flag is clicked, so that means from the very beginning, as soon as the game starts, if you're following along, you might be able to predict what I want it to be. I want it to be hidden. I want it to hide. As soon as the game starts and that title screen is up, no cheese puffs, gone. And keeping in mind now that it's going to, my title screen is going to broadcast the message start. I need to tell that cheese bowl to receive that message. So in the events drawer, there's a block that says, when I receive start. So the start button sends the message. I'm now coding my cheese puff bowl to be ready to receive that message. And when it receives the message, that's when I want it to show up.
And remembering that Jeff changed his to start, some might have kept it to message one, so that has to be message one, right? So
Thank you.
being
Yes,
mindful
they
of,
need to match up. You're right. Whatever the name is on one, the name has to match on the other one. Great point. And as we do with coding, I'm testing things constantly. I hit that green flag. This is exactly what I was hoping for. I can see my start page. When I click on it, the cheese bowl appears. So far so good. Everything is coming into play exactly as I planned for this game.
and notice also, like, I love the fact, Jeff, that you tested it, because obviously we don't want to test it at the very end. Want to make sure
Yes.
as we're going along, maybe if there is something we need to debug, we can figure it out. But also the way Jeff's talking through it, I think that's really important with coding too. I'm talking through what my steps are. That could be a helpful tip for students as well. As logically, does this make sense to me? If I say it out loud, does it make sense to me?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, easier to find a mistake when there's only 4 blocks on the screen than later on when maybe I have 10 or 20 blocks on the screen.
Exactly.
All right, next up, the part you've probably been waiting for. We're going to get that camera working. So we need to code the part. I'll jump back from my demo again. We're going to code the part so that your camera works and that you can start, you code it so that it knows that when you touch the object, it's going to move to random locations. So I've coded it to just to pick a random spotting to go there really quickly. So to do that, to get that camera to work, that's what's called an extension. You might know about extensions from other websites or maybe on your phone. Certain games or things might have extensions. That basically means that we are adding in more options. They're options that not everybody needs all the time, so they're kind of tucked away. But when you do need them, there's a lot of really cool things to get into. So if you follow my mouse to the bottom left corner, there's this purple button with some blocks and a plus sign. And when you click on that, it takes you into this menu, and there is some fun stuff in here that you should try and play with later on your own time. I am excited to see, it's even glowing to show me, this new one about face sensing. So it's got like using AI to know your expressions, so you could code it to do something if you're frowning, or code it to do something else if you're smiling. So there's some cool things to play with another time. But for us, we want the video sensing. So for me, it's in my top row. It says video sensing. That is the extension I want to load. And then for you, yours probably didn't pop up like mine. Yours is probably going to have a pop-up on your screen that's asking for permission to use your camera. So you want to say to allow. If you say block, it's going to be a headache for you to get that set up again. So please, when that pop-up comes up that says can Scratch use your camera, say yes. Okay, so right away, I noticed that down here in my app drawers, my different drawers for all these blocks, at the very bottom, it's added one called video sensing. I'm just gonna push this over here. It says video sensing. So now I have 4 new blocks that I didn't have before, and these are the blocks that are gonna help me set up this game. So I need to set up, again, I'm on my Cheesy Puff sprite. So for Justine, that's her balloon sprite. I'm going to take the one that says when video motion is greater than 10. And you're welcome to experiment with that value. You can play with it and see what it does. I find that 10 works really well, so I just leave it at 10 usually. And again, if I'm thinking about what I said I want it to happen, I want it to be that when it senses that motion touching the Cheesy Puff bowl, I want it to start moving around the screen to a random position. So that is a movement or a motion. So that's in the blue drawer on the left. So when I go to motion, mine is down, it's about 6 blocks down. I want the block that says glide 1 second to random position. That's the one I want to snap on there. It started already. As soon as I snapped it on, it starts working. And you should definitely try that. Give it a try on your screen right now. It looks a bit ridiculous watching me do this, but now you get to do it too. So push
we're
around
dancing
whatever
around.
you have coded. What's that?
I said if they don't know what we're doing, if they were just looking at our side here, it looks like we're just really great hand dancers.
Yeah. And one addition that I do like to make, I find the 1 second glide for the speed of the game that I want to play, I find that to be a little bit slow. I want to speed it up. So I like to click on that number 1, backspace it out, and I like somewhere around a 0.5 or even a 0.3. So that's less than a second. I want it to go pretty fast. And again, you can play with that value, find one that you feel is right for your game. All right, so this is coming together. So I would suggest right now, if you've got that and your item is moving as expected, let's do a full start again here. Let's go stop and hit the green flag, so that I notice right now that the Cheesy Puff thing is not there. I cannot make it go because it's hidden as I told it to. I can hit start, and there it is, and now I can start playing my game. And as always, if anybody has any questions, you can throw them in the chat. If you're curious or you want me to show something again that's easy for me to do, just let us know. All right. So if that's working, and the excitement of that is calmed down in your classroom, the next thing we're going to do is you'll notice that back in my original game, just let me jump tabs, I had it coded to have score and a timer. So we're going to do next, we'll set that score. I got to watch the clock here, Justine. How am I doing? Made a time.
You're good. You have
Made of it.
about 20-ish, 25.
Perfect. All right. Well, we'll definitely get the score set.
Awesome.
I'm going to jump back over to our current game. All right. So for this, we need to talk about something new in coding. We haven't discussed the idea of variables yet. So I mentioned at the beginning that I teach 5th grade, and in 5th grade we talk about, when we do algebra, we talk about the word variables. And like sometimes in math class, that could be like represented by a letter. Maybe M is a variable. But if we think about what that word really means, in math, when something is variable, that means that it's a value or a number that could change. So in our world, we have lots of things that are variable. For example, the temperature outside is variable. It's not always the same. It's always changing. So temperature is a value that is variable. It's changing. The clock behind me, time is variable. Time is always changing. So in our world around us, there are lots of things that are like that. And another example of that is the score. The score in a game is variable. So I want to help my game understand that that variable score at the beginning should be set to 0. And for every time I touch that bowl, I want the score to go up by 1. I want that variable to change by 1. So that's our next goal here. So to do that, in the drawer that is orange and it says variables, we're going to click on that and open it up. And at the very top, there's one that says make a variable. So I'm going to click on make a variable. And again, to help myself keep it really organized, I'm going to put score. Whatever you put for that, that is the word that's going to display on your game screen. So I would probably suggest, or you could put scoreboard or something similar, but definitely you want your game player to understand that that is the score. And instantly I can see that it's up there. I've got the score is now in the top corner, but I haven't pulled those blocks out. So I need to do that here. I'm gonna add the code in for set the variable. And I think I do want to put it, I'm gonna put it at the top. I'm gonna scooch that down and to, or I guess it doesn't matter. I'm gonna let it hide first. We'll play with it. We'll see which one we like better. So when I hit the green flag, oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong, oh, geez, I caught myself. I had to debug my code. I am on the wrong sprite right now, I think. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm okay, I got this. I am on the cheesy puff, so I want it on my object. So make sure that you are on the code for your object that moves around the screen. All right, so I want to set the score to be 0. So at the beginning of my game, I want the score to be at 0. So now I need to think about this. So I know I said I wanted my score to change. I gotta make sure I change the words to score. Change score by 1. I have at 3 different places set up on my screen right now, so I need to think about what makes the most sense. On which one of those things does it make sense for me to change the score by 1? Does it make sense for when the green flag is clicked? Does it make sense to do it when the start message is received? Or do I want the score to change when video motion is captured? So for me in my game, it makes sense for it to be down here. So on when it catches that video motion, see I can see it going up now, that is the part where I want the score to go up. Every time it catches movement, the score goes up by 1. So let's do some debugging here. Let's do stop sign and hit green flag. And I've caught myself here because I don't want that scoreboard on the screen yet. I want the scoreboard to be on the screen after I click the start button. I don't want it to be on at the very beginning. So that tells me that I needed to drag this over and snap it onto when it receives the start broadcast message. So let's restart. So by moving that over, oh, I got more to do. It's still there. So that can be frustrating sometimes. Like I thought I found the solution, but it's still showing on the screen at the very beginning when I hit green flag. I noticed that in the variables drawer, there's also one that says hide variable. So now I think I've got this straight. When I start the game and I hit the green flag, I want that scoreboard to be hidden. But when I hit the start button, I want it to show up. Let's try that now. So I'm gonna hit green flag again.
You didn't change your hide variable to score.
Thank you. See, I need coding help sometimes. Coding is one of those things that it really is just better to learn with somebody else. You can bounce ideas off each other. Justine pointed out that I didn't change the name of my variable, which made it not work as I'd hoped.
And I
So
think
I'm
that's
doing
important.
lots of debugging.
Yeah, but I think sometimes we think as students who are listening, even teachers, we think, oh, every one of us needs to have a computer. But sometimes it's great to have maybe one computer for two students so we can work
For sure.
together.
Yeah, we learn better together. All right, let's refresh and try again. Ah, yes, thank you, Justine, for the help. That was what I needed it to be.
You're welcome.
Hide the variable score. Now when I click on start, oh, I got one more. I didn't tell it to show. I'm going to change it to score. So now I've got a hide variable on green flag, show the variable when I receive the message. We did it. I got it. My scoreboard is functioning as expected. The score is going up each time. But I notice one thing. Oh no, I've got it right. I've got it resetting. I think I might move this block over. I think I'm going to move the, it was working fine over here, but when I'm thinking about what makes sense and where to put things, I think I want to put the set score one on the green flag. I think when I hit green flag, it should be the restart to the score. So as it is right now, this is a pretty fully functional game here. We've got this all worked out. I could play this as long as I wanted to. It would just keep counting at my score. But we could, since we do have time, right, Justine? I'm still good for time? What do we got? Yeah, let's do it. So there are several blocks to get this timer working. So we'll work through it together and check things as we go. But I want to set a timer. Let me just go over and show it again. So this is my game that is ready. You'll notice that my timer is set to 30 seconds at the beginning, and it counts down, and I've got a full 30 seconds to try and get a high of a score as I can. And then when that timer's up, that's where that wow screen comes up. So the timer gets to 0. That means that that message popped up. All right, so for timing this, we know that we made a variable for our score because scores are variable, they change. We need a new variable because time is its own variable. It's separate from the score. So I've still got my, I'm just going to scooch this to make some room. I've still got my, my variable drawer open here. It's orange. I'm going to make a new variable. And you could call it time or timer or countdown or something like that, whatever makes sense for you in your game. So I'm making a new variable for time. So right away I can see that that variable is on my screen. It's set to 0 up there because I haven't coded it to do anything. So now that becomes my job. I get to go through and set this up just how I want. And I'm actually going to do some copying of the code because I want it to behave the same way as the score variable. I want it to be hidden at the beginning, and then I want it to pop up. So I'm going to do that same order of hide the time variable, and then I want it to show the time variable. And I can do a test. It's gone. I click the button. It shows up. All right, so unlike my score, I don't want the timer to be
Sorry, Jeff, I
starting
can't
off at 0. Oh
see
yeah.
your screen. I don't know if you're on the other screen.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank
I
you. I
didn't
was
even
like, wait a
notice. No, I'm
second.
glad you piped up there. Yes, so
So for those who weren't
just what
sure,
you
you
missed
could just
there.
see where he had the hide vine. Just adding
Yeah,
to the
thank
hiding.
you. I missed a click. So I added a hide variable for time, and I added the show variable for time in the exact same spots as I had it for the score. So now I've got 2 that are hidden and 2 that show up. So as I was saying, I don't want the time to be set to 0 at the beginning. So I am going to set the variable time to be, I'm going to make my game a little bit shorter. I can change it later, but maybe just for the sake of testing my game and making sure things are working, I'm going to say I only have 10 seconds to play my game for now.
That's true pressure.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and I just did a little test. I hit the green flag. After I hit start, the timer is set to be 10. So I've got 10 seconds on the clock. Okay, so let's follow along here. So what I want to happen is I want it to, every 1 second, I want it to change that timer
Down.
-1. I want it to go down by 1 second every second. So that's the coding logic that I need to write my code for now. So we get to dig into some new drawers we haven't played with yet.
So we are
So if
actually
you go,
going to create a timer. It doesn't just have a timer. We are actually having to
exactly,
use math to
yeah,
create
yeah.
it.
Even though I called it time and I set the timer, it is it's just a number showing 10 right now. It doesn't actually work yet. I have to code it to do that. So I'm going to go into the control drawer, and I want the block that says repeat until. So you might have to scroll down a little bit and take repeat until, and then I'm going to grab an operation block. So that's green. And I want it to be the one that has the equal sign in it. So it's got these pointy edges, and it says blank blank equals 50 on mine right now. So we're going to drag that out. And I want this countdown timer to repeat until the time. So I got this from my variables drawer. I'm taking that little block for time and putting it inside here until the timer reaches 0. So I know that was a lot of steps there. I might walk through that again quick. I'm just going to delete that block and just do that again fast for people following along. So I went to Control. I found the block for repeat until. From the green operators drawer, I found the one with the pointy edges that has blank is equal to 50. I went over to variables, and I found the one for time. I dragged it in, and then I said until the time equals 0. So that's what I want to happen. I'm going to get it to repeat until the time equals 0. All right, and I'm 2 blocks away from getting this to start counting down for us here.
Awesome.
So in the control drawer again, at the very top, there's one that says wait 1 second. So that's our element of time here. That's how we're going to code time to happen. I'm going to code it to wait 1 second. So I'm putting that inside.
It's like a sandwich.
Yeah, exactly. And then I want it to change the time variable by -1. So that's like the subtraction symbol up there by the, if you have a number row on your keyboard, it's probably right next to 0. So I can read through my coding logic here. So I just made this whole block. I'm saying keep repeating this until the time equals 0. Wait for 1 second, and then remove 1 off the timer. Wait 1 second, -1. Wait 1 second, -1. So let's test it. Green flag. I hit start. There goes my timer. My 10-second timer is counting down.
Awesome.
So I know that was a bunch of blocks there. So the magic of YouTube, if you need to rewind and pause and stop and watch that again, where I found those blocks, remember the color coding is there to help you, so they all look like the color of the drawer. And yeah, we got some heavy blocks in there. That was good.
And the great thing about it is if you decide, oh, 10 seconds isn't enough, you would go up to the set time to whatever time you want it, and
Yeah.
the rest of it will still work.
Yeah, that's
Nothing
it. Only
else that
one
you'll
thing needs
need
to
to
change.
change.
Yep. Yeah, if I said 10 seconds isn't long enough, I want it to be 30. I just changed that one number, and now my game is, that's all it needed.
Love that.
Okay, so it looks like I do have a few more minutes. We do. All right, let's try and make an endpoint here. So if we want to make it so that when that timer runs out, I want that display screen to come up again. I'll be careful when I change my tabs this time. So it's like this. When the game is over, I want it to display some kind of congratulations message and an explanation for the game player. So now I go back to the right tab.
Yep, you're good now.
So to do that, just like before, I'm going to go down to that scratch cat in the corner, and I need a new sprite. So I'm going to go hover over that choose a sprite and go to the paintbrush. So I have this blank canvas of a screen to work with. So for me, I like to put a bit of a background. So just like before, I'm going to put a nice solid fill background. Choose a color I like. Make it nice and easy to read. Stretch it out really big. And I need to leave instructions for the game player on what to do next. Click green flag to retry. All right, center things a little bit, drag that just where I want it. And I find those W's a little hard to read. I might change the font on that one for this. All right, so now in my code, I want it to be, I gotta go back to my code tab. I'm still on costumes, so I'm gonna go back to code. I need it to be so that when that timer does hit 0, I want that screen to pop up. So we're back to this broadcasting messages. So I want to tell this, my cheese puff sprite, that, hey, when the timer reaches 0, you should hide and that wow screen should pop up. So that's the part I need to just quickly do to end us off here today. So in control, I'm going to pick the one for if. So if the timer equals 0, so just like before, here's a little shortcut for you. This green block with the time in it is exactly what I need. So if I just do, if you're on a laptop, if you just do a really light 2-finger tap on your trackpad, or for me it's a right click on my mouse, I get a menu that I can duplicate. And that's a nice time saver, so I don't have to build that all over again. I can just do that little 2-finger tap, get the menu, duplicate it. So now it's if the timer equals 0, I want this cheese puff to hide. So that's in my looks drawer for hide. And then I want it to send the message, broadcast that message. I'm going to call this message finish. Or you could put end, something like that. So when the timer equals 0, the cheese puff box is going to go away. It's going to broadcast the message. And then if you're thinking ahead to where I'm going to go next, that means that I need to go over and write a little bit of code for my big screen here, because it shouldn't be on the screen the whole time. So it should be that when the green flag is clicked, it's hidden. And the next event is when I receive the message finish, show. And with any luck, that will get us into our game. Here we go. My 10-second timer is on. I'll get a couple points. And there we go. Timer hit 0. Screen came up.
Perfect.
And yeah, got to the end. And I do need one more, I guess, because my writing isn't true right now. When I click on this, nothing happens. So to do a final end off, if I put the event when this sprite is clicked, oh, actually, yeah, I guess, no, this is going to work out okay, because when I hit green
You
flag,
want
it's
the
going to go
green
away.
flag now.
Yeah, green flag is the button. That works out just as good. So I am done. So my game is ready, and it's completed, and it's working just as I had planned. Scratch does save for you nicely if you're on your own account, but I do like to hit that save button in the top right sometimes, just because I don't want to lose my work, or I might want to be able to come back to it. So definitely hit that save. Mine is called Untitled Project 21, and that's not a very good file name either, so I'm going to call mine Cheese Smasher, because now I have the option to get a share link. So I tell it that I am going to proceed with the share. So now I've shared this so that other people can see the game, but I could also get a link, or my teacher can give me a link if you're attached to your teacher's account. They can get the link so that you can share your game, maybe in a Google Classroom or somewhere else via email, something like that. You could share your game out with the world. All right. So as we wrap up, I've created a little bit of a cheat sheet here, a little spot for you to pause your video if you need to copy these things. So just our reminders of the things that we created. So we made our starting screen with a title and a start button. This was the code we created. We had to load that extension for video sensing. For our object in our game, so my cheese puff bowl, this was the code that we ended up writing today. And then we had to create that game over screen with the congratulations, instructions on how to restart, and that's the code that we had to add. Just for your reference for later. All right, so that brings us to the end. If there's any questions, you are more than welcome to throw them in the chat.
That was awesome. We got through everything.
We did it. Am I right on time?
Yeah, in
Right on
4
time.
minutes. That was awesome.
Perfect.
Mine's still
Time to
going in
spare.
just a bit.
All right, so that ends our session together today. So check in with your teachers, see if you have more time to add some of those customizations we were talking about, or maybe they have tips for you on getting that saved or shared somehow. So check in and see what's next for you in your classroom. Thank you all so much for coming today, and I hope you had some fun creating a game. Justine, it was great working with you. Thank you so much.
You too. That was so fun. It was fun. I'm happy I had a second screen so I could play along with it and do it myself. And I think there's a lot. It's fun, but also, like we said, there's so many connections with math, with variables, with art, where you can create your own, right? Create your own
For
ideas to
sure.
balloon,
Scratch
but
is also
maybe
really fun for storytelling.
100%. Yeah. And for
Animations.
teachers, thelogicsacademy.com. If you go in, there's some other great opportunities like this, some pause and play, some teacher resources and PD for you. And hopefully you continue to join us because we love making these for you and hopefully bringing it into the classrooms in some way. So everyone, thank you. I was going to say keep warm. Jeff said he's warmer there than here in Ontario, but keep warm on this winter days. And we will see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
I will wait 30 seconds just in case someone decides they want to ask a question. And
Okay.
if not, we will end it. Okay? Just in case. You never know.
Yeah, could roll in.
And if Darren Malte is still in here, thanks for joining us because he commented. All right. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.